Welcome back to another edition of Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers. What will this edition bring? You're probably asking after that game that we just witnessed. Well, there are a couple different ways we can go here, right? We've got we can be uberly positive and look at all the things that the Packers have accomplished and moving forward. We can be really hammer on the negatives, or we can be balanced and give you some of both, because that's pretty much what we do here, is straight up, straightforward stuff. And I have to lead with this to really charge up Ben, because I know he's already charged up, but I have to lead with this. Ben's on the phone. Hey, Ben. We had a text with our good friend Eric, the home brewer, Home Daddy Brewer 19 on Twitter, I think he is, or something like that. We'll check out his real thing and put it in the comments. Anyway, was talking to him, and I didn't even realize that he listened that much. But not only does he listen to Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers every week, he said he looks forward to it every week.
What?
That's what he said.
Looks forward to it?
Looks forward to it. And he said we're doing a good job. And Eric is not a guy that just slings around compliments. Like, he's a straight-up guy. So if he doesn't think you're doing great at something, it's not like he's going to tell you you're not very good. He just won't say anything. So the fact that he texted that, I thought was pretty cool. And third, he said more entertaining and better analysis than some, quote, expert programs that are out there.
Well, I know that.
It's corroborated by, yes, a friend, but a friend has high standards and he shoots you straight. So I think that's pretty cool. That had me motivated to give my best effort once again today. So I know Ben's ready to go. All right, Ben. This was a very ugly game. There were many things that happened. There are many people to hone in on, and I know you've already done some of your homework. So let's just get to it.
Really? You're going to just let me go?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go, and then I will chime in on some other points if I see they're a little differently, because we've already been disagreeing before we started recording. So let's go ahead and see where this goes.
Yeah, but we're disagreeing, and you're wrong.
That's funny.
Well, here's the deal. I just did another one. So I got the first six third down non-conversions I have figured out here. And,
6 of 14? The first 6 of the 14 that they couldn't convert on?
Yeah.
That was pretty sad.
It took us to go to, oh my God, I forgot his name already. That's pathetic. Backup quarterback, what's his name?
Tim Boyle.
Yeah, Tim Boyle. It took him to come in for us to get a first down on third down.
You're not very good with names, are you? You forget a lot of names.
Rodgers just can't do it. Well, listen, I'm very tired. I had a rough day at work. I'm not happy. I'm not in a good mood. The Packers look like complete garbage, and I don't know what else to say. But we're going to start talking about something here.
All right.
First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what happened along the offensive line of this play. This is the first third down that led to the fumble. Start with the right side. Billy Turner just got his butt kicked right to the inside, like within seconds. Lindsley goes up to the second level and gets 54. I don't remember what his name is, but he was all over the place in that game, the middle linebacker. And he holds up his block for the first 3 or 4 seconds pretty well. Then you got Jenkins and Bakhtiari, who get caught in a stunt with Bosa and the defensive tackle that was on Jenkins. And unfortunately, Bosa takes the inside route. Bakhtiari stays with him, but as Bosa's doing that, he kind of runs into Jenkins, and then the defensive tackle gets a clean shot all the way around to go for Rodgers. So within about 2 or 3, maybe less than 3 seconds, Rodgers has got the defensive tackle all the way on the outside that Jenkins is supposed to be covering free. The guy that Billy Turner let go to the inside free come right up in his face. Somehow he avoids both of those guys. But by the time he does avoid those two, Lindsley's block on 54 is gone, and 54 is a fast middle linebacker, and he's in Rodgers' face, and he's the one who actually causes the fumble, which messes up that whole entire play. The weirdest thing was watching this play, and then at first I was looking at the receivers, I was looking at Rodgers, and I wasn't looking at the offensive line. And then I looked at the very end, and I was like, why is Bakhtiari standing next to Blaga? How the heck did he get all the way over there? And that's when I saw that stunt, because Bosa took Bakhtiari all the way over the other side. I mean, he just took him completely out of there.
Well, I'm going to jump in for a second about that, right? Because you run those twists all the time on defensive line. And the 49ers almost always there was a stunt in their defensive rush. It was almost very, very little just straight rushing. It was a lot of stunting and twisting and stuff. But so that's a case where either Bakhtiari has to pass off that inside stunter to the guard, to Jenkins, or he has to bury him the way he did. This was Bakhtiari's best play of the game right here. And so he went with Bosa and buried him. Jenkins did a great job of recovering to ride his guy to the outside. The key miss here is Billy Turner, because Bulaga knocked his guy to the ground and then went to pick up the corner. Turner had a guy over him right away, and he was the one. If Turner doesn't allow, so I'm just looking at this. You look at Jenkins, you look at Bulaga, you look at Bakhtiari, and look at Lindsley right in this still. And if Billy Turner could hold his ground, Rodgers has plenty of room to step up and get out of trouble there. But Turner's guy is almost in his lap, and that was the key thing. All other four guys did exactly what they should do on this play, but it just shows you one miss, and it blows everything up. And so that's what happened. Billy Turner, if he could have held his ground and been closer to the line of scrimmage on the same plane as Lindsley and where Bakhtiari is, there would have never been an issue on this play. So continue on.
All right, so that's the offensive line problems. To be honest with you, when you watch the play, Rodgers has 2.5 seconds in the pocket with a clean passing pocket to throw the ball. Here's the problem. Before the play starts, Rodgers is looking at Jimmy Graham. He's looking at the middle linebackers. And the weirdest part about this is he's got 3 receivers on the right side, and he doesn't even look over there. He's looking at the left side and the middle. While he's doing that, before the ball is snapped, Devontae is jumping around trying to get his attention, waving at him, saying, hey, there's a blitz. The guy's blitzing. But it's so loud, Rodgers doesn't hear him, and Rodgers doesn't look to see that. The ball is snapped. Devontae notices that Rodgers never looked at him once, so he just runs the route that was called. However, I believe if Rodgers would have somehow seen that or heard Devontae, they would have looked at each other, and Devontae would have been smart enough to sit down, just like Jordy would have done, or Randall Cobb would have done, or any of those guys who have that kind of communication with Rodgers. If Rodgers could have seen it, it would have been a quick boom, blitz. Okay, fine, I'm going to kill you. If you're going to blitz me from there, boom, I'm going to throw to Devontae. Devontae would have got the first down easily. I don't blame that on Rodgers. It's just a shame that he wasn't able to see that. When the ball is snapped, Rodgers' first read is Lazard, who's playing the inside slot, even further inside than Devontae was. Devontae was kind of like the middle of the 3 receivers in the line. And then Geronimo's on the outside, who's pretty much useless and out of the play. And he's useless even if he was in the play.
Oh, Geronimo.
Anyways, so
he's nice,
but
not good at football.
Right. So
I don't mean to throw you off. Sorry, but
so Rodgers looks directly to Lazard. That's his first read. I could tell because that's what he does. Unfortunately, that blitzing nickel trips up Lazard, and Lazard is like falling over and all over the place, and he's not looking for the ball, and Rodgers can't throw him the ball because he's not going to catch it because he's all trippy and whatever. So his first read in that first second after he catches it can't happen. Then he goes back and he looks to the right side to Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham is open. Now, he's only 2 yards downfield. He has to get 8 more yards to get a first down. I understand why Rodgers probably doesn't throw that ball there. However, there's only one defender between him and the first down, and it's a small cornerback. Because both middle linebackers, or both, I think it was a middle linebacker and a safety, or whoever it was in the middle of the field, when the ball was snapped, they both turned around and ran backwards and didn't even look at Jimmy Graham. Their backs both to Jimmy Graham. But Rodgers did not throw this ball to Jimmy Graham, even though he's got a pocket and he has a chance to throw it to him. But he does not. For whatever reason, I do not know.
Well, it's probably what you're talking about. It's 3rd and 10.
I know.
Jimmy Graham is he going to pick that up? Most likely not, right?
Right. But then he turns back after that and looks back toward Lazard and Devontae. Well, Devontae's running his route, which apparently is just running straight for some reason and not looking for the ball. I don't know why, even though there's no cornerback there.
Right. If he's
now, I understand that you want to run the route that's called so that the play doesn't get screwed up. But when you see a guy blitz and you jump around and dance and try to get Rodgers' attention to tell him that the guy's blitzing, just sit there and wait. Don't run your route. Don't run straight and don't give him an outlet to help him out. But either way, there's nothing he can do. By the time he goes back over there and looks for Devontae and or Lazard, hoping Lazard got back up on his feet, Lazard's still not back on his feet. He's still tripping around. And Aaron Jones is kind of there, But by that point, it's too late. He can't throw the ball because if he does, he knows he's probably going to get hit and it's going to be a fumble. So he doesn't. He tries to hang on to the ball, but then he's surrounded by both the D tackle that beat Jenkins, the guy that beat Billy Turner to the inside, and then also 54 who Lindsey couldn't quite keep blocks for more than 3 seconds, and he runs in there and smashes Rodgers and it's a fumble. So what do we learn from this? These are the things we learn. When you go into a game and you're going against a defense who's one of the top-rated defenses in the league, who is actually the number one defense against the pass in the NFL.
Yeah, by a crazy amount, too. 142 average yards per game through the air? That's insane. That's going to break a record that stood since the 80s.
Right. That is crazy. All of their defensive linemen have at least 6 sacks or more on the season. All of them. You should know, hey, we need to have plays that get the ball out of our quarterback's hands fast. Even on third down.
Mm-hmm.
We need to drill it into our quarterback's head. Hey, you're not going to have a lot of time. Our guys can't block these guys. And I know it was the first drive, so you're thinking, okay, maybe, this is something where, okay, we thought we could block them, and then we realized we can't after this play. That's fine. But they don't. They don't realize they can't block them after this play. Because for the whole game, it's the same crap. But that was the first down, the first third down, not conversion. I'm going to call these the not conversions because none of them are converted. They're all freaking pathetic.
All right,
but that's just one of those things. And you can tell me all the things that you don't like. I'm not saying
no.
I'm not like
I agree with you.
Rodgers. What the sad part is there's so many things that they could have read. Like Rodgers could have, if he would have gotten a hold of Devontae could have got his attention. I know those guys would have been on top of it. I just know it. If Lazard would not have been tripped, it probably would have been a first down because there's nobody there to cover him because the nickel back blitzes and the nearest guy is 11 yards deep. So as he catches it, Devontae can go up, block that guy. Lazard's getting a first down because Devontae streaks off the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably going to get there before Lazard is because Lazard's got to wait to catch the ball. And then Devontae would get the block. Boom, Lazard goes off him. It's a first down. And that would have worked, but Lazard got tripped. It sucked.
Yeah.
The other thing that could have happened that would have been good if after he saw Lazard tripping around, he goes back to Jimmy Graham. I know it's Jimmy Graham.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't throw to Jimmy Graham if I was Rodgers either. But apparently Rodgers thinks Jimmy Graham's a great guy and he always tries to get in the ball. So why didn't he chuck it to him when there's only one defender between him and the first down, and the guy was actually 11 yards deep on him?
Because he knows
he could have maybe broken a tackle. He's
D
bigger
tackle.
than him. He was
D tackle might have got over there and got him.
Yeah, that could have happened.
He didn't want him to be embarrassed. And if that's Rob Tonyan,
well,
I'd throw him the ball, but yeah.
I know. But anyways, those are 3 things that could have happened differently had Rodgers Devontae would have got Rodgers' attention. Lazard would not have tripped.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers would have threw Jimmy Graham the ball. He had a pocket for 2.5 seconds, and I know it's not a very long time. But Tom Brady and Peyton Manning both get the ball out, and have always gotten the ball out in 2.5 seconds, no matter where they are. So I'm not blaming Rodgers. I'm blaming the scheme. But on this play, maybe it's Rodgers' fault. Maybe he should have threw Jimmy Graham. But I can't blame him for Lazard getting tripped.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, you want him to recognize that blitz and identify what Devontae was seeing right away, and then hit one of those 2 guys. Whether it's one of them's a quick screen to one of them, or it's just a quick hook route, 5 yards down and just sit down and let the other guy push the safety back, and then you hit it, because that still gets the ball out in time. But if you look at I'll show the pictures again, like you said, Devontae's going and he's not looking back for the ball. So even if Rodgers realized that after the snap, he can't throw to Devontae because he's not looking at him. And Lazard's tripping. Jimmy Graham's the other option. Not a great option, not downfield and all of that. The one thing I'll say is I'm going to go back to what you just brought up, which is the confidence in the offensive line, or the confidence. This goes back to many, many years, how many times do we see this? And I understand as a team game and a player on a team, you want to believe in your guys. Believe in your guys, they're going to get it done. But there's also a reality perspective that we all have to look through, and that is understanding when you are overmatched, and then you adjust because of that. And we didn't see that We didn't see that throughout the game, which I don't understand. Like you said, you know what you get going into here. They watch, how many hours do the coaches and players watch a film on San Francisco preparing for this game, especially with the extra week. And then I understand you're in longer yard situations, but that ball's still got to come out. Everybody knows it, right? The defensive line knows it. The secondary knows it, so they can sit on routes, and that's the way they play. So you got to get the ball out. You got to make plays designed to get the ball out. And you can still have those other routes to push guys downfield to open up an underneath route for somebody, but it's got to be quick. The one thing that I think is also striking is you mentioned all those things that happened, right? That Rodgers looked over here. First he saw Lazard tripping, then he saw Jimmy Graham. Then he looked back to Devontae, who wasn't looking at him by that point. That all happened in 2 seconds. All right? I get it. I get that the players, they're the best in the world and they're paid tons and tons and tons of money. But you think any person in that situation, all that happens in 2 seconds. That's crazy. Okay, and I went through one striking thing to me, obviously, about this game was the O-line really struggled. Really, 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 really struggled. And it's not because of the comment Jason Wilde made after the game on the Cover 2 show, if you watch that, is that, whoa, once Brian Bulaga went out, they really struggled. No, they struggled before Brian Bulaga went out. And Brian Bulaga doesn't make, all the other guys block better. Okay, he might block better than Alex Light, but he doesn't make Billy Turner block better, and he doesn't make Lindsley and Jenkins and Bakhtiari block better. Okay, so having Brian Bulaga in there wouldn't have made that much difference. So let's dispel that right away. Now,
well, that's,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, keep going. You keep going.
I was going to say one thing about Alex Light, right? So yes, was he not great? Of course he wasn't great, but he was not as bad as people thought. He actually did okay. A lot of times, there were a few plays he got beat bad, but other times where he was doing fine and the penetration was coming from elsewhere.
He's a guy who didn't get any reps all week.
Yeah, and he's
right?
he's
and
an
he's
undrafted
thrown in there against the best defensive line in freaking football. I mean, come on. Give the guy a break. I've heard a lot of people talk smack about Alex Light and how he sucked and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, he didn't do any worse than freaking Bulaga was doing when he was out there. Matter of fact, I hate to say this, but Balaga's injury didn't look like much to me. I'm thinking Bulaga was like, I'm getting my butt kicked. I think I'm going to sit this one out.
I don't think it's that.
I'm just saying it. I think he said, I'm going to sit this one out, and he sat it out with a fake injury.
I don't know about that.
You know how I feel about Bulaga. I think he's useless.
That's a little far-fetched.
I'm going to be glad to see him go after this year. And I know a lot of Packer fans are like, he's good. He's a Pro Bowler, blabbity flip-flop. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
He's
not that good.
He's okay. But for a first-round pick,
he's a first-round pick.
He's underachieved, and he's been injured a lot. So that's the honest story about Brian Bulaga, okay? I mean, yes, has he done decent against good pass rushers this year when he's been out there? Yes, for the most part. His run blocking's okay. I mean, he's okay. He's fine. He's a serviceable starting right tackle, but that's not what you want from a guy you invested a first-round pick in and have paid multiple contracts and a lot of money to. And that I'm just going to go with it because it leads me right there. Another guy you paid a lot of money to, and I have to say it since we're talking about the O-line, is Billy Turner. And I've talked about Billy Turner before, and I'm sorry that I have to talk about him again, but this is what I noticed. I went back through just the highlights, and I looked at the offensive line, and I paused it at times so I could see what was happening again. Because again, the 49ers are really great up front. They run a lot of stunts. But the one thing over and over that was obvious is Billy Turner just doesn't show much effort. He will have an initial engagement with a defensive lineman, and then he just backs off. And most of the time, he's not in a strong stance. He's standing up higher than everybody else. So there are fundamental issues here. But I also think there's an effort issue with Billy Turner. I just don't see it. Other guys will... This first play that Ben just analyzed, Jenkins is a perfect example. Okay, he got put in a tough spot. He lost engagement with that guy because of the twist, but he tracked him back down and tried to push him around so far deep that he could get around Aaron Rodgers. Billy Turner doesn't do that. He engages with a guy and then lets him go. And it's like, here you go, the lookout block, the famous lookout block. Look out, quarterback, here he comes. Because that's what he does all the time. And I can't deny it anymore. They paid that guy a lot of money. He was supposed to be the answer to shore up this offensive line hole at right guard that's been there since TJ Lang was let go. And I know you can't have TJ Lang back anymore, but I think people don't realize how solid he actually was and how good of a player he actually was for this team.
TJ Lang was really good.
But Billy Turner is,
I think he made
not the
Blaga
answer.
look better than he is.
Yeah, but Billy Turner is not the answer. He is not. He is.
No. You know what could have been the answer, though?
What?
The number 12 overall pick could have been a guard, a good guard. And then they could have even got Jenkins in the second round after that, or third, whatever round they got him in.
Here's the sad thing I'm going to point out, and this is another thing about Billy Turner. And if you go back and look at a bunch of his snaps and a bunch of the snaps, and you can just see this by looking at highlights of different games. Most of the time, when teams are rushing 4 against them, Bakhtiari has a guy over him. Elton Jenkins is solo blocking. This is a rookie that's solo blocking guys most of the time. And most of the time, Lindsley helps Billy Turner. Most of the time, Billy Turner's actually getting help from the center. And he still does the same thing. It's like he engages with the guy and then just backs off. And then the other part is there's another play as you're looking through the highlights where he's got a decent block on the guy for a little while, for about 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and then he disengages, and that was a play where everybody else held back. Rodgers is kind of sneaking up and trying to get out of the pocket, and because Billy Turner gave up on the block, Rodgers gets tackled. He's obviously not used to blocking for more than 2 seconds, which means he should go play for the Patriots. And the other part is I just see an effort. I see an effort problem with him. He might be a smart guy, but I see an effort problem with Billy Turner. It's not about his physical tools. He's big enough, he's strong enough, he's smart enough. It's an effort thing and a technique thing because he's standing up too tall. And he is a liability. And now they're talking about maybe switching him out to right tackle. It's not going to be better there. I don't know.
The thing that bothers me the most, as far as offensive line goes, it's obvious they're having issues, and they don't change the plan.
Yep.
They don't max protect. I remember last week I said, what do we got to do against them? Okay, well, what do they run? They run a version of, they run a Seattle defense, which is kind of like a Tampa 2, except the middle linebacker. In Tampa 2, the middle linebacker goes back and covers like the middle of the field a little bit, and then the 2 safeties are back. What the Seattle defense does is they do 3 cornerbacks that are deep, and they just kind of play like a deep zone, like 15 yards deep. But they don't go any farther than that, unless they have to, unless a guy takes them out of that, and they go deep with them. Then they play guys, there's 2 linebackers, corners, or 3 linebackers and a safety, or whatever it is. And those 4 guys cover the first, 7, 8 yards from the line of scrimmage and forward. But the thing that they're most susceptible to is that second level. Past that initial 8, 10 yards, they've only got 3 guys to cover that area. And they don't help them because they plan on their defensive line and their blitz packages getting to the quarterback in 2 to 3 seconds. And they usually do. So how do you stop that? How do you combat that? You max protect. You slide the offensive line to one side and you move the quarterback so he has more time. And then you attack the second level with 1 or 2 players, or 2 or 3, whatever, at the most, do route combinations, pass the 10-yard line, put 2 guys in one zone and make the corner or the safety in that zone decide who he's going to cover. And whoever he doesn't, you throw the ball to them. And if you're max protecting, that gives Rodgers enough time, 3, 4 seconds, for those receivers to get open, Rodgers to see which guy is the one that the corner is going to cover, throw to the other one. It ain't even hard. It's not like a super hard thing to figure out. Yet nobody wants to do it. The other thing that you can do is there's the seams. There's seams between the middle safety and the corner on the outside, on both sides. You can hit those fast. Packers didn't do it.
No.
They didn't max protect. They didn't help out. What did they do for 2 weeks when they had the bye week?
I don't know.
Because it didn't look any different. This looked exactly the same as when they played the Chargers. You want to call them San Diego, the L.A. Chargers. Because guess what? That's Gus Bradley, the defense coordinator there. And where did he come from? Seattle. And where did the guy who's Matt LaFleur's best buddy, the defense coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, where did he come from? Seattle scheme.
Yeah.
That's their bugaboo.
You have to recognize, right? You have to, and they say this all the time. We've got to be honest with ourselves and look ourselves in the mirror and blah blah blah. And all. Well, then do it. then understand. I mean, there's no way you should go through that even more than 2 drives in that game without recognizing, holy crap, our line is getting destroyed. We got to adjust our plan. We need to get the ball out quick. We need to go to these things, and there has to be plays that you have set up for that.
And what's the other thing that slows down a defense? Up tempo.
Yeah, speed them up.
No matter what, every week it's the same crap.
I don't know what's.
It's not a Mike McCarthy problem. It's an Aaron Rodgers problem. He holds the gosh dang ball until there's 1-2 seconds left on the play clock constantly. Why?
Well, because they have.
Just go at them.
I know. I want you to just run the plays. I think I think Rodgers loves to overthink it, and I think the coaching staff likes to. And I think what happens is they're looking at it and they're trying to make those tweaks and adjustments and signals and calls and whatever based on the alignment they're getting to try to get them in the best possible play. But sometimes just run the damn play that you had called and run it fast. You might catch them off guard. Like you said, I think tempo and pace can be even more effective than having those little tweaks to be exactly what you think is the optimal tweak for that particular defensive alignment. You're right. The tempo thing could have helped for sure.
All right. So are you ready? Let's do my next 5 plays of the third down non-conversion plays. It's going to be nearly as long as these. It's just telling you what happened.
All right. Because we're at. Okay, go ahead.
After the 6th non-third down conversion play, the game was over because it was already 13-0. And then I didn't get the 7th non-conversion play, but then they went down and scored, and it was 20-0, and I was okay, it's done. That first half, the defense did everything they possibly could to stop them. I'll say that. But we're talking about defense a little bit. Right now I'm talking offense. Okay. Here's the second third down non-conversion. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
It is a first down pass. It would have been a first down pass, except our good buddy, Geronimo Allison, seems to have Jimmy Graham hands. Hits him in the hands, drops it.
Yep.
Would have been a first down.
That was a killer.
Instead, it's a punt. That was their second drive. They're already down 7-0.
Which, quick side note, they no longer can punt. J.K. Scott can't kick the ball more than 30 yards anymore. So I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on with that. So that was the second one. So that was just a plain old good old drop. And it's by the guy who shouldn't even be on the field anymore. I'm sorry. I like Geronimo. He's a nice guy. I'm sick of it. Give me some Dan Kummerl. I don't want to get started. We'll do that later. Okay. Third possession. It's 3rd and 9. I'm going to ask you a question. 3rd and 9. You got a formation going on. Okay. You got 3 receivers on the right side of the field. Again, this is very similar to the first third down play. All right. However, one of the receivers is the middle receiver, and that middle receiver is a running back. Now, if I told you it was 3rd and 9, the middle receiver is a running back, you need a first down. You have not gotten a first down, a third down conversion yet today. You've had 2 misses. One of them was a fumble. The other one was a drop. Who do you think should be the running back in the game at that point to get that third down play on 3rd and 9 lined up in the slot, the middle slot of the 3 receivers? Who should be that guy?
Should be Aaron Jones, because Richard Sherman is going to try to push him on the ground.
You would think that it would be. That's right. You would think it'd be Aaron Jones. But guess what? It wasn't. It was Williams.
Let me go back.
And you know what Williams did?
No, what did he do?
He dropped it.
No.
He dropped it.
Oh, he dropped it.
He dropped it. But even if he would have caught it, he wouldn't have gone anywhere.
No.
Because guess who was blocking for him? Geronimo.
No, not double dip on Geronimo. Dang it.
So not only did Williams drop the ball, even if he would have caught it on this 3rd and 9 wide receiver screen to Williams, the running back, not Aaron Jones, who, by the way, was not in the game for like half of it for reasons I don't know. He's the best freaking weapon you have, and he's not in the game
a lot of people,
for half the freaking game.
Yeah, a lot of people wondering about that.
So that's my complaint about that. So that was the third down non-conversion.
Hold on, before you go on, I want to say this. I want to put this out there. Matt LaFleur, whoever's listening on the Packers side, run that same play with the 3 receivers to the right, Aaron Jones in the middle, Danny Vitale to his inside, and Williams to his outside. I want to see 3 running backs out there in that set.
That's what I said in week 3 or 4. Remember when I said that in week 3 or 4?
That'd be exciting.
That's what I wanted.
That'd be wild and exciting.
Aaron Jones in space with 2 guys who could actually block in front of him. Holy cow. What could possibly happen? I bet you'd be a first down
All right.
on 3rd and 9.
All right, go on.
But not Williams with 2 receivers. That ain't going to happen. Dang it.
Was
Okay,
it Geronimo?
here's
Was
your
it
fourth.
also MVS? Was it Geronimo and MVS? I would die.
I don't remember.
I would die
don't
if
know
if it was those two guys
I honestly
supposed to
don't
block. I would have died. I would really laugh hard.
I hate to say this, but it might actually not even been Geronimo. I just made that up. Like I don't remember.
No.
So don't be mad.
Either way, if
I'm just so sick of we need to get some Kumaro. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Give me Kumaro. Give me Lazard. I know Lazard had a drop, I think, in this game, or something happened. But
I'd
still rather have Lazard.
He wasn't out there for a while. I was kind of wondering. I thought he got hurt, and then all of a sudden he was back in the game. So I don't know what went on with him, but I mean, he's a better option than Geronimo and MVS. So he should be out there. Anyway, we've talked about that before too. Kumaro and him do everything better. They're not quite as fast, but they do everything else better. So get them on the field. Continue on.
Right. Okay. So here's the fourth third down non-conversion. It was 3rd and 13.
I don't want to, dude. I don't want to relive all this. It's hard.
I'm just going. There's only 3 more. This one and 2 more.
All right.
On this one, number 20, who is a safety, who's pretty dang good safety, is actually sitting right where Rodgers is going to eventually throw the ball. But he moves to the middle of the field a little bit, but his eyes are on Rodgers the whole time. Rodgers goes back, looks only at Devontae, and drills it as hard as he can to Devontae. And 20 just goes over there and just gets his hand in just in time to break it up. And at first, it looked like Devontae dropped it, but he didn't. 20 got his hand in there just before it got to Devontae and broke up the pass. So that was a great play by 20. Something I'd love to see Savage do if he was playing in the center field instead of playing around the line of scrimmage like stupid. I'm not blaming him, though. I'm blaming Mike Pettin for that. Let's play some Savage in the middle of the field, like number 20 for the San Francisco 49ers, because then he can break up some plays and be aggressive instead of being around the line of scrimmage getting his butt kicked by offensive linemen and tight ends. Please don't do that. But that's a totally different thing. We're talking offense now. Okay, here is the fifth third whatever. You know what I'm saying. I can't even talk anymore. Here it is. It was 3rd and 8. Are you ready for this? 3rd and 8. Devontae ran a 5-yard slant pattern, and he caught it, and he got tackled at about the 7-yard line. So he was 1 yard short. And then, because the Packers can't do anything, and they're like, we only need a yard, they went for it on 4th and 1. And we all know what happened there. The offensive line got blown up. Aaron Jones got creamed in the backfield, and it was a turnover. So that's what happened on the third down conversion. It turned into a 4th non-conversion. Yay for us. That sucked. And then finally, when the game was 13-0 at this point. So think about that. This is the 6th possession, and it's only 13-0. The 6th possession the Packers have had.
Right.
They had a chance to win this game. The defense did a good job in the first half. Anyways, okay. So here's the 6th third non-conversion. It was 3rd and 8. Now, on this very same drive, it was 3rd and 30,000 at one point. And the Packers got bailed out because one of the 49ers hit a helmet-to-helmet contact hit on Jamal Williams, which extended the drive and gave him first down. Why Jamal Williams is in the game so much, I don't know. We already went over that. But because of that, it extended this drive. Otherwise, that would have been another 3rd down non-conversion. But that was 3rd and 5,000, so I didn't expect that to happen anyways. But, so on this play, the 3rd and 8th play, Rodgers goes back. He's got time in the pocket. He moves a little bit here and there. He throws a 40-yard, 30-yard bomb in the air to Jimmy Graham, who's covered by a corner or a safety. Graham goes up and grabs it, and you're like, holy crap. I'm like, yeah! And Jimmy Graham comes down. He comes down with the ball, right? And then he hits the ground, and then he says, oh, wait, that's right, I'm Jimmy Graham. I have to drop this.
No.
So then he decides to drop it because, the ground hits him. And they say a ground can't cause a fumble, but a ground can cause an incompletion. And a lot of people are saying, well, that should have been a completion because he caught it and then he hit the ground and then they lost go of it. And I'm like, listen, if Des Bryant's catch wasn't a catch, that should definitely not be a catch. And I know they've changed the rules since then again, but still, hang on to the gosh dang ball. You're making $8 to $9 million a year. Hang on to the frickin' ball, Jimmy Graham. So those are the first 6 third down non-conversions of the game. And after that, the Packers were out of the game, so it really doesn't matter on the other 8 third down non-conversions that they had after that.
Yeah. So
I'm done for the rest of the day. You can talk now.
That was a big swing. The only reason people were saying it might have been a catch if LaFleur had challenged it is because Graham had it tucked, took 2 steps, and his knee was on the ground when the defender was contacting him still, and they might have considered that down right there before the ball came out. So I don't know. But Anyway,
but how many challenges on completions and all that sort of thing has actually been, reversed this year for the Packers?
No, I know. Yeah, I know. But still, and the guy did have his arm between. He actually caught, the guy's arms in there, so he actually squeezed the ball and that guy's arm. So that was tough to hang on to. But it would have been an awesome play and a huge play in the game.
I was honestly surprised that he didn't drop it right away. Like, he actually caught it with the guy's hand. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well,
that's why I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, Jimmy Graham caught it and the guy's arm, and the guy was breaking up, and he still hung on to it, and then he fell down, and then it was like, oh, there it is. That's the Jimmy Graham I know.
That was a crazy pass, though. I mean, Rodgers barely got out of the pocket, and he flings it, and it dropped like right in his basket. It was insane. Would have been a huge play. Okay, I have to say this. We talked about the O-line. I was ready to hammer on Corey Linsley because I'm not a huge fan, and it's not that I don't like him. I think he's a fine guy. I just think they could do better there, and I think they could have drafted the Bradbury guy that the Vikings drafted. This year, all of that sort of stuff. They could have used that early pick for that guy instead, but they were set on Linsley, and I was ready to hammer on him. But I went to the Packers website just earlier today and watched Corey Linsley's post-game press conference. He's wearing a pink hooded sweatshirt, if you're looking for that. And I watched it, and I can't hammer on him. He just looked and sounded so deflated. He's just taking it hard on himself. I mean, he knows he had a terrible game, and you could see it. I mean, he's usually kind of a jolly, happier guy and whatever. And granted, after that game, nobody's going to be really excited and happy, but he looked dejected and just down on himself. So I'm not gonna pile on Corey Linsley. You can do better. Your coach can help you, though, by making some adjustments and realizing you and the other offensive linemen's limitations and operating an offense that helps make you successful. So the challenge is to Matt LaFleur here to recognize what he has, to do what Mike McCarthy always forgot to do, which is recognize what you have and maximize what these guys can do. So the challenge is to the coaching staff right now. Okay. Sorry, I have to say one thing. Jason Eckes made some more comments, and he was calling for predictions. And the predictions, I'm done. I made my prediction last week that Jay Sternberger was going to get his first NFL touchdown. I don't even think he was active. He wasn't even active, right? So I'm done with predictions, Eckes. I'm sorry. It's not a Hafeman trait. We're not very good at it.
We can predict what they should do to win. They just don't ever do that. So if they would do what we tell them, then our predictions would come true, and then we'd be geniuses. By the way, at LaFleur, you can call me anytime. I will happily be like a film study guy who will study the film of the opposing team and help you come up with a game plan to defeat them. I will help you. I will look at your own teams and find the weaknesses, and I will help you fix those weaknesses. All I need is $300,000 a year. That's not even that expensive, but I'll do it. Give me a call. I'll totally come.
That's cheap for success in the NFL.
That's what I'm saying. That's cheap.
I know.
That's cheap.
All right, I have
most
something.
Most guys probably make like $1 million. I don't know.
I want to get to the more positive stuff eventually. Although we tried to mix in a little bit of humor, hopefully, and whatever. And people have said that about our show. It's more entertaining. So that's also a word people have used. But I have to. This is why this game was so difficult for Packers fans. And if you're a Packers fan and you've watched the team for many years and you went through the struggles, and there's the connection to that Seattle era where the Packers would play great and then they play that defense and they would just get shut down. And granted, back then, Seattle could just grab and hold their corners, just grabbed and held and did all that stuff all the time, but they had a good pass rush and the Packers just had no answers for it because, they just had to win their one-on-one matchups and all that business under McCarthy. But the reason why this loss and this losing to a team like this is so difficult for Packers fans is because we were overachieving. The team's overachieving. All of a sudden, we're getting all excited. We're thinking about the Super Bowl. And then you see a team like this in your way, and then you think back to recent history, and against these bully teams, I'm going to call them bully teams because that's what they do. They're fast. They're physical. They beat you up on the line of scrimmage, and they beat you up in other areas too. But against these bully teams, the Packers seem to have no answers. They have struggled mightily. And so as a fan, yes, they're still 8-3, and yes, there's still hope, and yes, there's many, many things out there, and anything can happen any given week, right? But we've seen it too many times where those bully teams, the Packers just can't get past them. Think back to the San Francisco 49ers in the Colin Kaepernick days. was the same thing, right? They had great defenses. They had fast linebackers with Willis and who's the other guy? Now I'm getting names. Yeah, Navarro Bowman. See, you get a name once in a while. With those guys, fast, right? And physical. And you can't match it. And then the Seattle teams, fast and physical, can't match it. That's where the Packers have struggled for many, many years. And we're seeing it again. And that's why we're taking it so hard. So we're hoping to move past it.
The other thing, too, is it's like when they played the Chargers, we could chalk it up as, okay, this is just an aberration, right? They're not, this is never going to happen again. You know, it's just their heads weren't in the game. They blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And then, but the thing that a lot of Packer fans don't, like a lot of them don't have the, you know, they don't watch the game like we do. They don't watch the highlights and the replays and all the stuff like we do and check everything out and see that there are quite a few flaws there in this team, and they just kind of happen to get over the flaws, and that's why they have so many wins. And then, because you and I both knew from that San Diego or the Chargers game, gosh dang, San Diego.
That's right. Everybody does it, man. Don't worry about it.
We both know that it wasn't just an aberration. It was a problem that's been there, and any team that has that type of defense or that type of playmakers on defense can do the same exact thing to the offense. And we're not used to seeing that as Packer fans. We're used to watching Aaron Rodgers throw for 35, 40 touchdowns a year. They just can't move the ball. Like last year, they were pathetic on third downs. This year, they're non-existent on third down. It's like, it's so bad. I mean, 0 of 14 in this game.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. But when you watch it this time, this is when now the Packer fans are looking at this and they're like, wait a minute. Because the first time I was like, okay, just wipe the slate clean. Forget it. This game even happened. Let's keep going, right? And then they squeaked out a victory against the Panthers. And then they have this game against the 49ers. And it's been really 3 games in a row where they have not looked good on offense or defense, to be quite honest. Now Packer fans are seeing it and they're like, holy crap. Now everybody's scared. Everybody's like, what is going on here? And you look at the record, 8-3. But you look at the play on the field and you're like, this is not an 8-3 team. And they need to fix this and do something somehow. And we know what to do. We're talking about it every week. There's personnel that they're playing that's wrong personnel. When you play your best players to win games, and now it's crunch time. And I know they're going against the Giants next week, right? But what did the Giants do? Which sounds crazy. They can score some dang points.
They got a all-superstar running back, and they got a fast young quarterback who can move around and do stuff.
Not only that, he is not afraid to sit in the pocket. He will sit in the pocket until a guy's open and throw it to him. And he'll get hit, and he don't care. I'm scared this weekend against the Giants.
Yeah.
Because, they don't have a defense, but the Packers scored 8 points. And they scored 11, and they scored 10. They're not scoring tons of points.
They need to possess and control the ball more. They need to.
That's what I said last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing I think that got overlooked in this game because of how bad it was. Zadarius Smith was a monster in this game.
He was good.
He was awesome. And actually, in general, the Packers' pass rush was pretty solid. Like, there were a couple times off play action that Garoppolo had really deep drops, and then he had lots of time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's because they're reacting to the run fake because they have to, because they're not very good at stopping the run. So everybody's got a mentality, okay, gang up on the run and all that stuff. But here's the alarming thing about the defense, and we've been talking about it for a while. We kind of signaled out Kevin King and Jair Alexander, hoping that would turn their games around. Well, the Hafeman power doesn't work either, I guess. We thought so, but anyway, I thought so, but it doesn't work. And the pass rush is good. The pass rush is good enough. The coverage is not. So they have to figure it out. I don't know what they're asking Jair Alexander to do that's so much different other than playing off so much more than he used to. But the coach needs to go to him and say, Jair, how do you feel most comfortable and what do you feel you're best at? And then let him do that. You've got to, again, it's identifying. It's coaching, man. It's identifying what are your players' strengths and have them do what they're good at. And don't have your fast safety 20 yards off the ball on every play. He's basically out of the play unless somebody breaks one.
Yeah, but it's not even always him. Sometimes it's Amos back there, and he's not fast. And he doesn't get to the play. And they have Savage down by line of scrimmage. Let's talk about that play to Kittle, the 70 or 60-something yard touchdown.
Okay.
Let's talk about that play. Because you know what happened on that play? First of all, they were playing a quarters coverage, which is zone. So you got 4 defensive backs covering a deep 10, 15, 20-yard zone defense, and then in front of them, they have the other 7 guys are playing up close to the middle. 49ers run the receiver in motion across behind the line of scrimmage. They flood the left side of the zone. And then what happens is Kittle sneaks out, goes this way. The receiver who is on the right side also runs a deep crossing route, and Jair has to go with them because there's nobody else over there. So Jair sticks with them, but then he has to let him go after a while because he's got to stay in his zone. When that happens, Amos, who's playing the deep safety, has one of the deep safeties. I don't know where the other safety was, to be honest with you. I don't even know. It's supposed to be, they say they played quarters. To me, it looked like it was just 3 guys playing deep, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Amos comes down and has to stick with that deep crossing route. Right. Even though Kevin King should have kept his ground, but he didn't. He jumped the deep crossing route because it looked like Kittle was going to be doing an out route. But then he does a double move and goes all the way back to the place where Amos just vacated and was wide open. And then everybody says that, Kevin King can't block anybody.
Can't cover anybody. Yeah. Well, which is also true.
But honestly, he stayed in his zone like he should have. Amos vacated his zone. And when Amos vacated his zone, Kevin King was like, holy crap, I got to stick with Kittle. What the heck's going on? And he was way behind him. And there was nothing he could do.
Yeah.
That's why it was the problem. It wasn't the fact that Kevin King can't cover anybody. And sometimes he can't. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But on that particular play that everybody's complaining about, saying that Kevin King can't cover anybody, it wasn't his fault. It was just the perfect play against the very worst coverage you could think of against that play. The other thing that really hurt on this play was Preston Smith had a chance. He had to make a decision: either go after Garoppolo on that when he did the bootleg,
right,
or stick with I think it was like the running back, and he went to cover that receiver instead of going after Garoppolo. If he would have actually went after Garoppolo on that bootleg, I think he could have affected that play, and that pass would not have been there. Now Kittle was so wide open, it still might have been. I don't know. There's so many things that went wrong on that play. Guys just were all over the place in weird spots, and it made Kevin King look terrible. But to be honest, it was the whole defensive call that was terrible. We've talked about it every week. They got to stop playing zone. They got to stop playing safe. When you're able to get pressure like they've been getting with Za'Darius and Preston, heck, Blake Martinez blitzed, had an awesome sack. How many third down stops did they get on those? And they just, when you're doing that kind of pressure like that, you got to play bump and run. I don't care. Put frickin' Savage back deep. Have him be your only safety. He's fast enough to clean up the mess. Everybody else, play frickin' bump and run, smack the receivers up, get in there, have everybody within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage, and cut this crap out. No more going back. No more giving up easy frickin' pass plays. How many times you watch this? Packers can't get anybody open on offense. And on defense, when they play against the other team's got guys, 6-yard slant route, it's there every time. 5-yard slant route, it's there every time. And then they get beat on double moves all the time because they're playing this frickin' goofy, it's almost like prevent defense. It's pathetic. And I can't take it anymore. I'm frickin' losing my mind. I can't take it. Okay, I'm done.
They obviously don't play it very well, whatever it is. So the point being, all the Packers' woes and all the things that currently look really bad or haven't been strengths, it's up to the coaches now. It's up to the coaches. It's not a player thing right now. It's up to the coaches to honestly evaluate what their guys are good at. Do they have the right guys in, like we're talking about? Do you have a replacement for Billy Turner? If Bulaga's in, you know what I'd like to see? Give me Lucas Patrick at right guard. Give that guy a shot.
Yeah.
Because he at least battles his butt off. He might not be as physically gifted as Turner, but he will give maximum effort all the time. Geronimo. I mean, all these guys, right? Who are your best guys? Coaches need to evaluate, are they playing the right personnel? And then what are they asking of that personnel, and can they do it? What are their strengths? And that's what they have to do. I think defensively, they got in their heads. They gave up some big plays in a couple games, and all of a sudden, all they got so focused on was eliminating the explosive plays, and that took away the aggressiveness of the secondary. That's the main problem, because the pass rush is good enough. Pass rush is good enough if the secondary plays aggressive. If the secondary sits back and gives guys quick, easy throws, well, that's what you're going to get. The offensive issue is really that. They have to understand what their line is that week, because you never know if Bulaga is going to be in or out. Bakhtiari has really struggled with certain guys. So you can't play pass game like you used to, where you wait for these long developing plays, and then Billy Turner's only going to block his guy for 1 to 2 seconds. That's it. So you've got to recognize all that. And you got to dial up plays. You got to lean on Aaron Jones. You've got to get the ball to the playmakers. And that's what you have to do. So it's up to the coaches right now to earn their money. They are being paid handsomely, and they don't have to put their bodies on the line. They just got to put their brains into it. And the other thing is, I wondered about this a little bit because I remember you told me, after, I think it was after the last, might have been the Carolina game where MVS was in for only 15 snaps, didn't get a pass thrown his way, like all this sort of stuff. Somebody reported that he was visibly upset after the game.
Yep.
So are there egos that are being hurt right now? And in the bye week, they thought about those things and were like, well, we got to keep all these guys happy and blah, blah. No, this is not, you don't placate to any certain player's attitude or making sure this guy feels like he's happy or used enough. You identify who's the best guys, and that's who you play. And the other guys have to be professionals. Okay? They're not in right now, or they're not getting as much attention as they thought they were going to get. They got to suck it up, make the most of the opportunities they do get, and if an injury happens, they got to be ready to go. And that's what you expect from them. This is professional football, man. This isn't, you're not dealing with kids here. So you need to approach it that way. And if they do those things, they have a chance. If they don't do those things, it'll be a nice year, but ultimately in the playoffs, they're going to meet Seattle, San Francisco, the Saints, maybe even the Vikings, a bully team, and they're going to get bullied right out of the stadium. So there's my prediction, Ekis. You wanted one. That's what I'm giving you.
I don't like that prediction.
It's up to the coaches, man. And we're going to see it.
I know.
I'm serious. We can talk, and you and I hammered on the players, and we talked about a bunch of players, but that's because we're pointing these things out so everybody recognizes if they stick with these certain players in these situations and ask them to do these things, it's going to continue. They've shown this is what will happen. If they make adjustments, success can be had against even the best of teams. We'll see what happens with the coaches. All right, do you have anything else, or can we do a quick thing about the Giants? We already talked a little bit about them.
The only thing I would say to add on to what you're saying is I would like to see, the thing that bothers me, they're continuing to double down on these guys that they signed on offense. How much money do they have into Billy Turner, Jimmy Graham, Balaga, guys that aren't living up to contracts, but they still keep playing them, even though there's better players behind them? If they want to win, if they seriously want to win in the playoffs, they have to do what you just said. Who cares about what they're making right now? You paid these guys, but they're not worth it. And you have guys behind them in Mercedes Lewis, Tanyan, Lucas Patrick, like you said, who can come in and do just as well, if not better. As far as tight ends, they'd be more explosive in the case of Tanyan, or they'd be a better blocker or even a sneaky pass catcher in the case of Mercedes Lewis. And in the case of Patrick, like you said, here's a guy who's going to do whatever he can, do his job to the best of his ability. And Rodgers, like you said last week, there was a time in the preseason where Rodgers saw him and talked him up and said, hey, dude, we need you. Sometime this year we're going to need you. And I think it's time, like you said, that they look at this and they say, okay, do we want to win now, or do we want to just wait and then, let Jimmy Graham's contract expire and get him out of here, thank God, and then do the right thing next year and play the guy who should be playing? No, play the guy who should be playing now, or else it's going to be just like when they went to the playoffs and they got creamed by the freaking 49ers with the Kaepernick year.
Yeah.
Or remember the very next, that was the first year when they played them in San Francisco. Yeah. Remember the very next year when they played the 49ers in Lambeau in the playoffs?
Yes, it was crazy cold.
And they couldn't even, it was super cold. They couldn't even sell out a playoff game.
Yep.
And I don't think it was because of the cold that year. I think it was because every single fan, including me, knew they had no chance against that 49ers Kaepernick team because they could not stop Kaepernick. And they didn't, and they lost. It was close because it was in Lambeau. But the game wasn't a sellout, remember? They had to try to get people to come, and they had to get businesses to buy the tickets and hand them off to people just to get the people to come. They had to be a sellout, or else it was going to be blacked out in Green Bay. I remember that. I remember them talking about that at that time. But this is the same type of thing. If you don't change what you're doing, you're going to make the playoffs, yes. But like you said, they can't handle the Vikings, the Saints, the Seahawks, the 49ers, and that's something where they have to do exactly what you said. and they have to suck it up and lower their own egos. I'm not talking about the players' egos. I'm talking about the coaches and Gutekunst. Those guys, their egos. You screwed up. You signed a guy who wasn't any good. Don't play him. I don't care if you signed him. Don't play him. I don't care if you drafted a guy high. You think he's supposed to be good. Don't play him. They don't play Sean Gary, right? They drafted him number 12.
Not to say that this is the end result, but do you realize that George Kittle was a 5th-round draft choice who is on a 4-year contract making only $2.36 million over 4 years?
I believe it.
So he's a 5th-round draft pick. I'm sure when
Aaron Jones is a 5th-round draft pick.
I'm sure when the 49ers drafted him, they had somebody that they were paying more money at tight end who was supposed to be their starter, but then they said, holy crap, this guy needs to play.
Yep.
That's what the Packers need to do. They need to do an honest, and like you said too, you're right, it comes back to the front office as well. I don't care that they thought this guy was going to be so great. They obviously had a lot of faith in Billy Turner to sign him to that much money, because normally their track record on the offensive line is they draft a guy, they'll sign an undrafted free agent, or they'll sign a free agent who's later in his career to a 1-year contract. They signed Billy Turner to a 4-year contract.
Yep.
So they obviously thought, they're like, he's the answer. He's going to stabilize our line for the next 4 years. That's not who he is. So accept it. You screwed up. And maybe in the process, you motivate the guy to play a little harder, because the thing I see with him is effort. Like I said, if you're in a coaching position coach or head coach or coordinator that helps make those decisions and those calls about who's playing and who's not, and you're not ready to step up for those type of decisions, then you shouldn't be there. You got to make tough choices. You're going to have to bruise some ego sometimes. And those guys are going to have to be professional enough, again, to be ready if called upon, if an injury happens or something else goes on. So that's what you have to count on. And they need to do it. Now, Jason Eckes, in one of his comments, he was really worried after the game, said all this stuff. He's worried about the O-line, says that they can't seem to keep up. And he said, and we can't scheme our way out of it. Yes, the Packers can, Eckes, and we just told them how to do it. So hopefully who's ever listening, they figure out, yes, they can scheme their way out of it, and you can beat the bullies. Beat the bullies in the NFC. Because if whatever team from the NFC gets to the Super Bowl, well, actually the Ravens are looking really strong. Now you got a good challenger from there. You're going to have to beat a bunch of bullies, man. That's how it is. So the Packers are going to have to step up to all the bullies. And if they can achieve the end result that we're hoping for. If they can't, they won't. That's pretty much it. That's my take.
Yep, I agree with everything you say.
Man, so weird. But they can do it. They can do it.
At this point, earlier in the podcast, I don't agree with half the stuff you said, but this part I agree. Yeah.
I don't know if I got anything else about the Giants other than Saquon Barkley is a monster. I know he's had some injuries this year because I've absorbed those in fantasy and it's hurt, but I'm still hanging on. Sorry I had to beat you last week, but
yeah, dude, I went from 3rd place 2 weeks ago.
Oh no!
Somehow I went from third place to 10th place in 2 weeks, and I've got more points than like 7 of the teams ahead of me.
He lost the last 4, man.
But the reason why is because Aaron Jones was on bye last week, and Dalvin Cook didn't do much, and then this week Dalvin Cook was on bye this week, and Aaron Jones didn't do much. Yeah. And not only that, guess what defense I have on my fantasy football team? The 49ers.
Oh,
and I didn't start them because I was like, come on, Pack. I know you can do it. I'm not going to start the 49ers against you because I don't want to jinx you because I have my 49ers be so good. Because if I start them, with my luck, I'll start them, and then they'll destroy the Packers, and the Packers will lose.
Well,
I picked up some other crappy team, and they only gave me 5 points. And the 49ers destroyed the Packers. I should have just started them, and I would have beat your stupid butt in fantasy, but I didn't.
Oh.
So not only did I lose, the Packers looked like crap. My freaking fantasy football team got screwed because I didn't start the 49ers, and now I'm doubly mad. That's why I'm even more mad at you.
Man, you got to understand. You got to just play whoever you play and accept it. And take the win when you can get it. If it means the Packers get trounced, they're probably going to get trounced anyway. So that's the way it goes, man. You can't.
Dude, Dude, it was a 30-point difference. I would have beat you if I would have started 49ers.
Well, I know. The only thing you have a fantasy power over is you make Packer players worse when you start them on your team. But
Aaron Jones.
All the other things, well, I don't know. You started him this week, didn't you? It's not that he was bad. It's just that he couldn't get anything because he wasn't on the field half the time.
He wasn't on the field.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
He's your best player.
Well,
he's better than Aaron Rodgers, and he's better than Devontae Adams.
They asked Matt LaFleur about it, because he had the press conference, the Monday press conference or whatever, and he said something about how he needs to, because they're asking about how Aaron Jones had all these receptions and then he's only got one reception in the last 3 games and all this stuff or whatever, and he said he was talking about I need to make sure that he's on the field when we call more of those pass plays for the backs. And
no kidding.
Yeah, like what?
How do you not?
I don't know.
You're calling 2-yard out routes for freaking Geronimo Allison multiple times in the game yesterday or Sunday.
Yep.
And you called no passes for Aaron Jones the whole game.
Did you realize that Geronimo Allison is about to set the league record low for yards per catch?
No, I didn't know that. That makes me sad.
Yeah,
because I like him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't actually look that up. I just made that up, but I think it's probably close.
Think of how many big plays he had at the beginning of the year. He had a couple where he just jumped in the air and grabbed awesome touchdowns. Remember, it was like crazy in the first couple games of the year.
I know. And
what happened?
Now he's just letting balls go through his hands. I don't know. I do also know that I went through a bunch of plays and saw that Aaron Rodgers had 2 seconds or less of time before the pass rush was on him a bunch of times. So I know a bunch of people are hammering on Rodgers, and I get it. That's his job, but there's a lot going on there, and I don't see he had, and I love him. I love Rodgers. I think he's awesome, but I'm not putting a lot of that on him because when you're a quarterback and you can't even hit your back foot and you already got guys breathing down your neck, unless your first read is there right away, and which most of the time isn't the case, I don't know how you're supposed to deal with that. So
I will say this.
I don't know.
There was at least two or three times, though, when he had time in the pocket on 2nd down and long, 2nd and 8 or so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And he threw 40-yard bombs to Devontae when Devontae just ran straight. Didn't even change direction, just ran straight. The guy was right on him. And one of them was just a terrible ball. It wasn't even within 5 yards of Devontae. It was just a badly thrown ball.
Yeah.
Other times it was just the guy was covered. Devontae's covered. He can't make a play because he just ran straight. The guy's stuck with him. Can we run some routes? Look at Kittle's route. He juked one way, went back another way. He's wide open. How about some of those routes once?
Yep. Well, and another thing we learned? MVS is no James Jones.
Nope. He can't keep his feet in bounds, that's for sure.
JJ would have had those toes down and bloop, and just laid out and fell on the ground, but he would have made the catch.
I think James Jones needs to find that hoodie he wore that year he came back after he went to the Giants and he came back, or the Raiders and wherever he was.
Yeah.
He needs to find that hoodie, send it to MVS, and be like, listen, wear this hoodie, and you'll never go wrong. You'll have 14 touchdowns, brother.
You'll be like me with speed. Amazing.
That'd be crazy. But yeah, it's one of those things where you don't realize how because the Packers have had remember Jordy? Yeah. I can remember one time Jordy had a sideline catch.
Incredible.
He was
footwork.
almost horizontal with the field.
Right.
He was so far leading over, and he caught that ball and still kept his toes in bounds. He did that. James Jones was great at it. Greg Jennings was great at it. Double D was great at it. Yep. All those guys. And Devontae is good at it. But that was the point where they had 4 guys on the team, Double D, Jennings, Jones, and Jordy, who all could do that stuff. You don't realize that when you're watching back then. You have all these great, they weren't super awesome, but they were all really good receivers who could do all the things you needed them to do. And that's why when they could beat their one-on-one matchups, they could win their one-on-one matchups then. And that's why McCarthy's system will work. But gradually over time, you lose all those guys. And then McCarthy's system was like, hey, guess what? You got nobody can win one-on-one matchups anymore, except for one guy, Devontae. And then that's what they have now. And these guys just can't do the same stuff. They don't know the toe tap drag. Don't get me wrong. Kumerow has had some crazy catch. Got one crazy catch where he's almost perpendicular with the ground. Lazard had jump up and grab catches. I mean, they're making catches. Don't get me wrong; they're not bad, but they're not quite the same level as when we had all those guys: Jennings, Jones, Jordy, and Driver. All those guys. The JJJ or GJJ and D, but it sounds like a G because you got a D and R, which makes it sound like drive, but it's really derive. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like a judge. Those guys were the judge awesome receiving team. Nowadays we got one guy, and then a bunch of guys that are pretty good, and then a guy who's like should be good. He's got all the talent in the world, but he's not doing it. And another guy who just shouldn't be on the field anymore. I'm sorry, Geronimo, you got to be gone.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I
We
agree.
are so mean to Geronimo. We got to cut this
Dude,
out.
you know, I said it. It's straight talk. We give you the straight. It's not. We can't sugarcoat stuff. We can't cover up for guys. And there's a lot going on to different things, obviously. You know, but Geronimo has just shown that's who he is. He's a good backup, reliable guy that can come in when needed. But he should not be playing more than a handful of snaps, and he shouldn't be utilized in the way he's being utilized. That's clear. Okay, super fan Eric Dahl I thought he was like home daddy brewer 19 on Twitter, but he's at Dahl456 on Twitter, and you can get all kinds of sciencey stuff. Something about an escalator. Wild. He also has done some home repair projects and remodeling, and he's a cyclist, home brewer, and worm wrangler is how he describes himself.
Ah.
So
Hey, I just got to do one shout out.
I don't know if that's a
One
double.
shout-out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shout out to one of our listeners because you just brought up Eric, and Eric Dahl got like I don't know what he got, like a 32 or something higher than his ACT. He did really, really good, right?
Yeah.
My son, okay, are you ready for this? My son, who is 16, he's a junior in high school.
How do you do?
He's got a 4.0 right now in school.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? And he has had a 4.0. This is his third year of a 4.0 in high school. I don't know. He doesn't get it from me. He must get it from Jesse, not from me.
What's his last name?
It's Hafeman, bro.
Has there
He
been
had 4.0?
Has there a Hafeman that's ever had a 4.0? Well, maybe, probably, but not in our family.
Maybe, I have no idea.
Not off
But
this.
anyways,
Not off this
so-
tree.
He had like 2 weeks, I think 2 or 3 weeks he's had this ACT prep class he's been doing, right? The first week, they just show up and they take the test, and you got a 24 without studying, without anything, just got a 24, right?
Ah, it's already better than I
And
did.
And he's only better than me, too. I only got a 23. So anyways, then after 2 classes, it's already done. And this Saturday, he didn't take the ACT yet, but they took the test again. He got a 30 without even studying in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And that's without him even studying. So I'm hoping he can get like a 36 and go to Harvard or something and be a complete genius. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm shouting out to my son Grant, who is a genius. I don't know where he got it from, but I'm happy for him. I'm super proud of that kid, and so shout out to him. I know he listens once every third episode for like 10 minutes. So
Ooh.
hopefully he'll stay till the end of this one. I know this is a long one, but whatever. Too bad. So if you see Grant out there, wish him luck on his ACT to get a 36 so he can go to Harvard and make a whole bunch of money so I can quit and retire. Woo-hoo.
I can't even imagine what it would feel like to get that high of a score on a test or to have a 4.0. But
I have no idea. It brought tears to my eyes the other day.
that's awesome. I love it, man.
Yeah, I told him I was so proud of him. I started getting choked up, and he's like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't believe how smart you are. It just it explodes my mind how intelligent you are."
He's setting the bar high for this generation of our lineage. So hopefully my kids will.
Oh, did I tell you what happened the other day? So here's the difference between Grant and Olivia. So Olivia is very my daughter. She's very artsy fartsy kind of. She likes to sing and draw and all kinds of. She's more like me. Okay, she's more like that. And so the other day she goes up to Jesse and she's like, "Mom, does J come before L or after?" And that was the same day that we found out that Grant got a 30 on the ACT prep test. Olivia doesn't know what the order of the alphabet is. Oh, yeah. I don't know what to do with these kids. Now, she still got a 4.0 in 8th grade. So I'm not saying she's not smart. She is smart. But she's kind of she's kind of a wacky kid. And she's just kind of like, I don't know. I can't explain how wacky she is. So that's the difference between my 2 kids. One of them very creative and wacky. The other one, super smart, book smart, pay attention to stuff. But both of them I'm very proud of them. So I know why we're talking about my
Nice.
kids on a Packer podcast, but I just had to say that because you brought up Eric Dahl and reminded me of him getting really good on the HBTP, which made me think of Grant. And there you go. Sorry, you can cut that all off if you want to.
No, I think that's great. And I think what we're going to do is that can be a new feature is we're going to have a featured super fan every week. Not that we're going to go on and on about him, but we're going to mention one of our super fans. So we already mentioned Jason Eckes almost every week. He's a super fan of Hafeman Brothers. Eric, super fan. Now we kind of just found out that he was that into it. And our subscribers are up, man. We're slowly gaining ground on Leroy Butler and everybody else that does Packer stuff. And Nagler and Corey Banky, we're coming for you, man. We're coming for all your viewers and listeners.
Well, I know this. If you look at our new pictures we took,
they're nice
on the podcast.
Yeah,
here,
you should check them out
squint,
if you haven't seen them. They're nice.
Yeah, and you squint a little bit, I kind of look like Brett Favre.
Woo!
If you squint and kind of like the light hits the camera just the right way or your screen just the right way, you could be fooled that I'm Brett Favre standing next to you, and maybe we could sell that and get some more viewers.
Man, that's
now,
really
I don't
something.
like Brett Favre. I don't want to be associated with Brett Favre or anything. But,
Well, you should. Hey,
know.
you should take that as a compliment because he's in a lot better shape than you are.
Oh yeah,
I'm
in terrible shape.
He's a lot better shape than me too. He looks good for 50, but
I think it's just he's got a gray beard and I have a gray beard.
yeah, I don't know. He probably
That's
made
about
goofy faces like that too. I was looking at some of those. I'm like,
Yeah.
what faces are you? Where are these faces coming from?
My faces?
Yeah, your faces
I don't
are
know.
awesome.
I just make them.
Wow.
I just make weird faces.
Well, that's good. And I know Eric also, super fan Eric Dahl at Adahl 456 on Twitter. He also really enjoyed the Scott Gartzke comment from a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
How Greg
true,
Olsen
though.
runs like Scott Gartzke used to run, and maybe he still
Yeah,
does. Maybe
well-
I don't know that he's changed his running style.
I'll tell you this: Scott Gartzke was still faster than me.
I know you said that. You're like he took those choppy
So-
little steps, and he still was faster than me. And
Yeah.
well, there you go.
I'm not making fun of him. I'm just saying he ran like that. He's faster than I was.
Observation.
But
That's
I
it.
was not fast. So
Observation. And Scott Gartzke knocked me in my butt a couple times, at least in football practice too. So, he's a good guy.
well, he was a solid dude, so I could see him knocking somebody over.
Yep. All right. Well, we hope that the Packers end up taking care of business the next few weeks. And I don't like how everybody's like, oh, yeah, it's just the Giants and the Redskins and the Bears will make everything feel better. No. These games are important games. I mean, I know the Giants only have 2 wins, the Redskins only have 2 wins, but they got some talent. And if you're not heads up and awake and they don't start tweaking these things they need to tweak, they could slip up and then they could lose the advantage that they have going into the game against the Vikings. The Vikings got to play the Seahawks next. So you're hoping that Seattle will just keep hammering because that gives you a little more latitude going into the Vikings game. Wouldn't it be nice to go into the Vikings game at least a game up on them? I don't know. Obviously, you still want to win them all, but this next one's important. So they got to be dialed in. They got to take care of it. They got to take care of the Skins. They got the Bears, all before they get to that big Monday night game in Week 16 against the Vikings. So you know what? I'm going to do this. What do you think about this?
Uh-oh.
How about if it becomes a big, winner-take-all kind of matchup almost on Week 16 that we get in one of our Viking experts, Viking Mo, and see if he can be a
Viking
guest.
Mo.
If he can be a guest on the Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers
We should get him on, yeah.
on Week 16. That'd be kind of wild.
Even if it's not a big matchup, like if the Vikings tank and the Packers are still ahead, we should still call them up and make fun of them.
All right,
the other way around, where the Packers tank and the Vikings are really good, then we should not call them. I don't want to talk to them then.
all right. All right. Well, Viking Mo, you got to be a super fan too, and might even be featured. We're going to use you're going to be our resident Viking expert for Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers, if you accept. You're on board with that?
Sounds good.
I just made that up right
that's
now.
good.
Okay. All right. Viking Mo, we're reaching out. Okay. Matt LaFleur is reaching out to us, and we are giving all the info. Matt LaFleur, please take the guidance from Hafeman Brothers and make the Packers into the team we all want them to be the rest of the season, which will hopefully not end until February. I will also commit to this. If Packers are in the Super Bowl, I'll watch the Super Bowl with you. So if I got to come to Rochester to watch it, I will. And we will do a live. We will do a live Hafeman Brothers for the Super Bowl if the Packers are in it.
Whoa, now That's something.
I'm making a lot of commitments today. It's big.
That should make Matt LaFleur call us immediately to get all the expert opinions so that we can do that.
Big time. All right.
Let's go.
That's it this week. Haven Brothers, Packers still 8-3, still in the driver's seat, but they got to take care of business against the Giants.
That's good.
All right. So we will catch you. We'll catch you, Brother Ben, soon. And we'll catch you guys next week on Hafeman Brothers Talking Packers.